Most of you would have seen that what has occupied the nation's attention in the last few weeks is the Anwar trial. Today, at the National Mosque in KL, you had an organized little demonstration of some guys from the BN parties trying to pose this question about, why Anwar won't give his DNA. And that's something I want to talk about. But before I talk about that, we need to understand what this trial is about right from the beginning. Why this obsession that we must put Anwar Ibrahim in jail. They put him in jail in 98. And we know what that was about. That was to stop the challenge to Dr. Mahathir. Anwar had a falling out with Mahathir about how public funds were being used. Mahathir wanted public funds to bail out his son, Mirzan, in MISC and so on. Anwar said no. And finally Mahathir said, you have to go. And finally, because Anwar refused to go, you have to go to jail. And they organized it. And that time, the script was very crude. The script was basically a guy called Azizan, the so-called driver, who stood there and said, Anwar screwed me. That was basically it. And the script was so bad, I don't know which kind of script writer they employed, because the guy forgot that the date of the incident took place in a building that didn't exist at the time of the date. They forgot all those basic things, So the screwing took place in a building, but a building wasn't there. So how could it take place? Then they changed the date, and they kept on fixing it. And they had a great judge, may he rest in peace, Augustine Paul, so-called great judge, to help them along the way. But, so that was what we saw. And that sorry episode has damaged our country's institutions almost irreparably. I say almost, because one day, God willing, one day, if we, with your support, with other Malaysian support, if we bring about regime change, we will have to rehabilitate all those institutions. The police, the judiciary, the Aegis chambers, all these have to be rehabilitated because they were severely damaged by that episode. Now, Anwar came out after 6 years in jail, 2004, and promptly went about strengthening, organizing the Pakatan Rakyat. We didn't have Pakatan Rakyat, but there was a coalition. And we saw the momentum build, and then March 2008 happened. Boom, 5 states, 82 seats, denial of 2/3 majority. And that was major. So UMNO's response is, this guy has got to go back to jail. So we have the second round. And it started in June 2008. We've got to remember this, because that's the stage for the drama, the so-called bad script that we're going to hear. The bad porn movie they're trying to write. And we need to understand why this obsession that Anwar Ibrahim must go to jail, or at least must be so damaged that he's no longer a threat. Why is he such a threat? Because for the first time in its history, ladies and gentlemen, Barisan Nasional is facing a coalition taking it on. Now, I want to say this with due respect to my friends in PAS and DAP, who've been at it for many years, decades, fighting it. But the Barisan Nasional is very comfortable with an opposition landscape that is just PAS and DAP. They have no problem with that. You can have 20 seats, you can have 20 seats, I have the 150 seats, no problem, we carry on. But when Keadilan emerged, PKR was there and allowed the formation of a coalition with all these three parties together. forming an alternative. For the first time in Malaysian history since the 60s, we Malaysians now have an option to the Barisan Nasional. We have an option to change government. Something that citizens in other countries take for granted all along. Now we have it. The possibility is there. It's real. And it's real because there is PKR there, and there is this guy called Anwar Ibrahim who can lead the thing and provide that momentum. So the Barisan Nasional response is quite simple. We have to destroy PKR or damage it fatally, and we have to eliminate Anwar Ibrahim. So we start the second Sodomy 2 episode. This time, but one thing I must say to this time they got a slightly better script. Last time the script got 5 marks out of 100 lah. 5 marks out of 100. Now I can give it 10 out of 100. Slight improvement. But this is the script. But the script is still bad lah. I want to say that the script is still bad. Why? Why is the script bad? Because you've got this guy called Saiful Bohari who claims he's been screwed 8 to 9 times within 2 months by Anwar Ibrahim. But 4 doctors have checked his backside and found there's no trace of any of that. That's the script. This guy's forgot. You know, you write the script, write it properly lah. Maybe say once. No, the guy says 8 to 9 times in 2 months. And then 4 doctors, the first doctor in Pusrawi, Dr. Osman, and 3 doctors in HKL, check it thoroughly, open it up, look at it very carefully and say, hey, no physical evidence of penetration. So what kind of a story is that? That's how it starts. Got better things coming. That's the first part. Now the DNA evidence. We'll come to the DNA in a while. You know what's the most interesting thing about this DNA report which they brought to court? Of course, they're trying to say that Anwar's DNA is in Saiful's body. Of course, we know it's there. They planted it there, so it looks like that. They planted a thing in the sample to show it. But you know the funny thing about this report? If you analyze the data, and I want to say this, I'm not showing off. I got a degree in genetics and I got a degree in law. So I can say something authoritative about it. You look at the data, you know what it shows? This boy Saiful's semen, own semen, not DNA, semen, up his bottom at the highest end. The upper rectal swab shows his own semen. Now, I don't know what kind of an acrobat this boy is, but it's a very impressive feat lah, to pull off. So this is another part where the script went wrong. The guy who wrote the script forgot all these things. But let's go back to the script. So the story is this. This boy says, I was screwed 8 to 9 times. So I'm upset. I'm a victim. So I got my friend. My friend knows the Deputy Prime Minister. Knows the house. One lady called Mumtaz Mahal, who's now practically, apparently, almost the personal officer of Rosma. Our first lady, so-called first lady. So he actually gets to go to meet Rosma. He can actually get to meet the Deputy Prime Minister. I don't know, how many of you have met the Deputy Prime Minister here? Raise your hands. Nobody, huh? Okay, not so privileged. But this guy who drops out of college can see the Deputy Prime Minister. Apparently tells him that I'm a victim of sexual assault by Anwar Ibrahim. So Deputy Prime Minister says, okay, go and see the police. The police will help you. So he sends him off to see this guy called Rodwan, SAC Rodwan. Now, those of you who were following the episode in 1998 will remember this name, Rodwan, SAC Rodwan. Now, what was Rodwan famous for? Rodwan, now he's a professional policeman, but in 1998 it was shown in court, he took Anwar Ibrahim's blood sample illegally, because the blood sample was in the custody of Dr. Zahari No, given to him for purposes of HIV testing. Because there was a rumor that time that Anwar was injected with HIV. He steals the blood sample without Dr. Zahari's knowledge, and then they use it to plant DNA on the famous mattress. You remember the mattress? The mattress that went up and down court every day. That was what Road 1 is famous for. The same Road 1 pops up again in the script in now 2008. Najib says, okay, Saiful, you got a problem, you're being screwed, go and see Road 1.